Hi everyone, this is Linda, and what we're going to do with this lesson is we're actually going to start with a raster graphic, which is a pixelated piece of clip art, and we're going to then create a draw or a vector graphic in order to create our sewing machine. So we're going to do a couple of different things. But the first thing you want to do is actually create a file folder on your computer under MySewnet, My Designs, or wherever it makes sense for you, called Draw Paint Sewing Machine. Then what we're going to do is you're going to take that piece of clip art I sent you and save it there so that you can find it later. And then we'll go through and we're going to cover a lot of things. You can read all those things we're going to learn about right here, or you can read it in the instructions. It's actually there too. This is filmed using MySewnet Platinum, and it can be done in either the boxed or the subscription version. Okay, so let's get started. One of the things, the way we're going to do this is we are actually going to go into the MySewnet software, go into digitizing, going to draw paint, and that way all three pieces are now linked. But you could actually go directly into draw paint. So I'm going to just come down here and I'm going to find a folder here, and I'm going to go and I'm using Windows 11, so I'm still getting used to it. I'm going to go to the folder for MySewnet. Oops. I'm going to pick on Draw Paint. I could actually go directly to Draw Paint. If I went directly to Draw Paint, then I would be saving my drawing or paint design, not an embroidery design, but your drawing or paint into its own file all by itself, and it wouldn't be connected until you pulled it up later on. So what I want to do is actually walk you through so that you're actually doing it from within the main part of the software and then going forward. So we're just going to do File, we're going to do Blank Canvas. The hoop we're going to use is the 260 by 200 hoop, rotated so that it's going sideways. And if you want to, you can actually put in enter hoop size with 260 by 200, and we're going to do OK. We're going to go to the Create tab. I'm going to pick on Digitizing. And this will bring us up the wizard. So we're going to do Load or Create a Background Picture. Do Next. I'm going to do Load a Picture. Go to where you have actually saved your piece of clip art that I sent you, and that was a PNG file. We're going to do Next. We're not making any changes here. We're going to make sure that your hoop is 260 by 200 here. If not, we're going to change your hoop. It should have changed it, but I just like to make sure everybody does it. Enter design size. We're going to change the width of our design to 200. And do Finish. So this is the piece of clip art, and we are still in digitizing. So within digitizing, I could actually go and get started and actually start creating this. And what I'm just going to do this quick create real quick, and I'm going to do a pattern fill, and I'm just going to make this a triple stitch, and I'm going to do a quick stitch. And what happens is, see, I've missed a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to actually go in and we're going to simplify our design, because you really want that piece of clip art to be simplified when you're doing this. So to do that, I'm going to hit undo. I'm actually going to go to the View tab, and we're going to go to Edit Background. And that will bring up our Draw Paint module. And what this is this is actually the drawing, and it was a PNG file, which is a raster graphic. If you had the opportunity to watch the Janie Lance videos that she did on creating a design, and it was part of the MySewnet North America Lives, but I know Facebook's changed things, and so you can only see things for 30 days. But that same recording is on the MySewnet YouTube channel, and you can watch it there. So just do a search for Janie Lance, and you'll find the ones. There's 3 parts. There's part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is the one that actually goes into the draw paint and the real reasons why you want a raster graphic you want a vector graphic instead of a raster graphic. I hope that makes sense. So right now, this is the raster graphic. So if I'm in Paint, you notice how much brighter it is. If I'm over here in Draw, it's not so bright. So we're actually going to create all of the parts and make this now a raster graphic. I did it again. We're going to make it a vector graphic, very clean, very simple, and we're not going to do all these details that are in here. We need to clean it up. So what the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the purple line here, and we're going to change that to a black. And then we want, and the only reason we're doing this is so that you can actually see the different pieces and parts. We're going to do the black. We want this to be, the line size to be about a 0.5. We could make it thicker if we wanted to, but for our purposes, this is perfectly fine. And we want to do a fill, and we're going to change that fill into a gray. I know it's kind of boring, but for what we're doing, we're making a sewing machine, so it's not that big a deal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to create these wheels that are over here on the side. One of the things you do need to know about is when you're in Draw, you getting pointed lines and rounded lines, it works just a little bit differently than in digitizing. So I'll just show you how to do that. We're going to pick on Point Draw, and I'm going to start drawing this particular wheel. So I'm going to actually start here, and I'm going to hold my Shift key because I want a square, and I want a very straight, sharp line, and I'm going to click again, holding my Shift key, and then I want, again, this is very similar to digitizing, but where the difference comes in is a little bit later. So I'm going to make that a nice straight line too, and we're going to come down here. Oops, I want that one. See, I made that a circle, and I really want that to be a very sharp point. So I'm going to change, and I'm going to hit my Shift key, and I'm going to click on it. I'm going to hold my Shift key, and I'm going to click up here, and then click around. Hold my Shift key, and around. And as I get close, I'm actually going to take, and I'm going to put one more, and I can actually drag that right into here, but I need it to be if you notice, as soon as I did that, it made it and completed the whole circle. So I need to make some changes to the way this looks anyway. Okay, so you notice that when I move that circle that line right here, I automatically completed the circle for me. So I actually want to come and I'm going to make some changes to it. So I'm going to edit my nodes. And I'm actually going to take it, I'm going to hold my Shift key, and there's a circle one there. And as I hold that, it's going to become, but let me show you this. As I'm holding my Shift key and clicking, it's converting it from a square to a circle to a square to a circle. If I want to keep it a square, I let go of my short Shift key and move it. And I'm going to move it over here. Again, I'm not going to hold my Shift key. I want to move this, and I want that a pretty straight line. And then I'm going to just kind of move these around. And I'm not holding my Shift key because I don't want to make it a square. And I want to keep this a square. If I want to add points, I can actually come over here and add points. So I'm going to add one more point. And then I'm going to make sure I'm on edit points again and slide that back down here. This is a nice straight line. That looks not too bad. I'm going to come up here and just move this up here a little bit. And you're going to get practice as you do this. It's not too big a deal. But one of the things I want to make sure of is that this point and that point are directly down from each other. So if I hit my Shift key, which I normally would do in digitizing in order to keep it a point, it would convert it to a circle, and I don't want that to happen. So I want it to just kind of move. And I'm going to move it so it's kind of centered there, and it's centered. It looks like it's pretty close. And if I wanted to, I could zoom in. When I am done, I'm going to right mouse click to finish my edit points. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to create a straight line that just goes through here. Now, when I was doing the drawing, I'm like, I really wanted to keep that separate. It'll combine it together, but that way I could kind of mess with it. If I put it in there crooked, I could actually edit it a little bit. So I'm going to come over here to draw, and I'm going to actually zoom in so I can actually see what I'm doing here. I'm going to hold my Shift key. I'm going to click here at that point, and I'm going to click here at this point. Right mouse, finish my point draw, and it's now a nice little line. But if you notice, if you look really close, there's a little tiny gap, and I don't want that to be there. So I'm going to do edit, and I'm going to just slide that up so that I'm sure that there is nothing that's going to that's so that I make sure that there's no open area. Because when I go through Quick Stitch in order to create the stitches, I need them to be two separate pieces. And you'll see that here in a minute when we actually start digitizing. I'm going to zoom out here. So the next thing we want to do is we actually want to create these circles that are here and a square that's part of the needle clamp. So the quick way to do that is to actually come into Insert, and we actually have circles. So I'm going to click on the circle. I'm going to do Insert Shape. And I need it to be a different size. Now, I could actually hold my Control and my Shift key and drag it in, and it would proportionally change it. But I'm actually going to come in here, and I'm going to pick on Transform. I'm going to choose Proportional. I'm going to change this to 30 and close it. And just kind of get it centered there. I'm going to insert the shape again. This time I'm going to click on Transform, and this time I want it to be proportional and 30. Close. Oops, I did that wrong. I need proportional, and I want this one to be 15. Sorry. Close. And I'm going to make sure when I move my mouse that I actually have 4 arrows when I move this. So I move this guy right here into the section. I'm going to do Insert Shape again because I want to do this little guy up here. Proportional. Or Transform, Proportional, and I'm going to change that to 10. I'm sorry. Yep, that's 7. And again, making sure that as I slide my mouse, I actually get 4 arrows. If you don't get 4 arrows, you can always, I'm going to zoom in here, and I got my 4 arrows, and I can actually move that into place. Now I need a square for down here in my needle clamp. So I'm going to pick on a square, and you have all kinds of shapes. If you haven't looked through these, there's all kinds of shapes that are in here that lets you get started with something. And if you saw the other video I did on my Facebook group page, I actually used one of those shapes, and we created a little block and went forward. So we're going to do the square again. We're going to do Insert Shape, Transform, Proportional, and I'm going to do 7 this time. Close, making sure I have 4 arrows. I'm going to move that into the needle clamp area. So let's go back to the draw area, or the draw tab, and I'm going to zoom to fit here. And I'm going to do the fabric. Now, there were a couple of different ways we could do this. I was trying to get you more practice in draw paint than just doing it a different way. So I was trying to get more practice for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the outside line to a dark blue, change the inside line to a lighter blue, and that's going to do this area here. This is going to do our fabric. So we're going to pick on Draw and Point Draw. Oh, you see what I did? I did this on purpose just so you could see. I still had shape number 3 selected. So what it did is it automatically changed everything to this. I'm going to hit undo twice. Make sure nothing is selected. Okay. I'm going to do a right mouse finish point draw so we get that. So I have nothing selected. Nothing in the path is selected. And I'm going to do draw. And I'm going to do my fabric first. So I'm going to hit my shift key and then start coming around, and I'm let go of the shift key in order to do this because this is kind of curvy and this is fabric. And you can do this a couple of different ways. I thought about making it a 3D process and making the fabric separate. And then I thought, no, let's not mess with that this time. Let's keep it simple. Shift key, right mouse button this time. And this time I'm going to do finish and close line. You know what? Again, I didn't do it. I forgot to change my colors over here. So to fix that, I'm going to do a right mouse button, finish point draw. Make sure this one is selected. I'm going to go and change this to a dark blue and this one to a light blue. And that changed that particular shape and that path. Now what we want to do is we are actually going to do the machine. Now, when I started this, I thought, okay, we should do the machine first, and then we do the little knobs. Well, when you do that, the knobs get hidden, and you have to go through a couple of other steps. So we wanted to make sure we learn how to move things around in our film strip. So make sure nothing is selected again. We're going to change the line, and I'm just going to pick on a dark gray again and a different gray. It's not a big deal, but I need the colors to be different. And I'm going to pick on draw. And if you want to, you can zoom in if you want to, but I'm just going to start clicking here around my fabric, get to the bottom, hold my shift key, click, and come up here, right mouse, finish and close my line. So now I have that one drawn, and I can make adjustments here in a minute. But now I want to do this one here, so I'm going to hit my shift key, come up and around. And I want that one to be squared. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to come around here. Right mouse, finish and close line. All right, now I need to do the head of my machine. Same process. I'm just, draw is already selected, and I'm going to start down here. And I created an imaginary line along this. So what happens is as you create something, it's going to ignore what's below it, just so that you know. So I'm going to hit my shift key, and I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to kind of do a circle, and I'm going to create that nice and rounded. Shift key, and then start clicking up here. I'm going to get in here close to the wheels, but making sure I'm still on the left side of the wheels. And then coming around. And again, you don't have to have 100 little nodes here. You can just click a few, but if you want a really tight circle, you're going to need extra nodes. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to use my shift key and hold my shift, get a straight line. I'm going to use my shift and click a straight line, come back up and around. Just keep clicking. Right mouse, finish and close my line. If you notice, I now have this nice little circle right here. And there's a couple of things I want to edit. So I can click on edit, and I can actually move this out just a little bit. Maybe move this up. I'm going to leave that like it is, but I do want to change this one just a little bit. Now remember, if it's already a square and you want to keep it a square, don't use your shift key. If you do, it's going to convert it to a circle. Yeah, we could have created this entire base of the bed, of the machine, separately, and then put the fabric on top of it, and it would have been fine either way. But we're going to leave it like this for now. All right. Let's look at what this looks like. Now, I should show you this. You notice there's some things here, and we don't want these details. We're going to leave them and ignore them completely. But I need the bed of my machine and my head of my machine to actually stitch or to actually be created first. So I need my knobs to show. Otherwise, they're not going to show. And same thing with the fabric is going to show. It's fine. So I'm going to click on the path. And I'm going to hold my control key and click on each of these. Or I can hit shift and then click them both. And I'm going to move it so it's to the back. There's my knobs again. I now have them. I can actually, I'm going to go in and mess with this just a little bit more. That's looking pretty good. I kind of like it. But let's do a couple of different things. Let's talk about the paint. This is a drawing that can stay, or a paint clip art that can stay with your drawing. But what I want to do is actually do 2 saves of this. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do save as. And I am actually going to do, this is going to save it as an ECQ, but I want it to be machine with raster and vector for video, just so that I have it. You just can call it machine with raster and vector. Sorry about that. Now what I want to do is actually get rid of that piece of clip art. Because what happens, and I'm going to show you this just so you can kind of see it. If I close this, I have both still. I don't want the other one because I don't want it to interfere with what I'm going to do now. So to go back, I'm going to go to Edit Background. And it's all still there, but I want to get rid of the painting. So I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to do Select All. I'm going to hit Delete. Now I'm going to go to Draw and I'm going to do Save As again. And this time I only want the machine with vector for video. If you notice there's some things missing, this is not going to make that much of a difference because we can adjust this, but this has given me some basics to get me started. So to get out of here, I'm just going to hit my X, get out of there. I now have this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Quick Create tab. We're going to change the color, and we're going to change the color to, okay, we're going to change the color to a gray. And what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do those knobs over on the right-hand side. So they're kind of a chromey kind of color when we look at older machines. And so what we want to do is we got pattern fill selected. I want this to get changed to triple stitch. So if it's not showing triple stitch, you can actually come down here and find triple stitch. Then I want to make sure quick stitch is highlighted so that we know it's going to do what we need it to do. Then I'm going to just click on the first wheel and then I'm going to do OK. I'm going to select the second wheel and I'm going to do OK. So right now everything is all the same color. So it's hard to see where the two wheels are at, and there's a couple of other things we want to change. So, okay, so I have these two pieces already created, but what I want to do is I actually want to break them apart so that they are not both the same color. So my thread that's going around, my top stitch that's going all the way around is gray, my insert is gray, everything is gray. So I'm going to actually, with one selected, I'm going to hold my Shift key and select the other one, or Control key and select the other one. And I'm going to go to the Edit tab. And we did these in other exercises with appliques, if you've been in the other classes. So we're going to hit Break Apart. So what it's going to do is it's going to break apart the pattern fill and the triple stitches. It just takes it a minute. Okay. Over on the left-hand side, I want to get my pattern fill here up next to this pattern fill and do the triple stitch separately. And I can do it, I can either use my arrow keys down here or I can click and drag. And I want 1, 2, okay? Now I have the triple stitch, we'll try these two here. I need to select step number 3, and I'm going to go back to the Quick Create tab. I'm going to do color change, and I'm going to choose a black. Automatically, now my pattern fills are one color, and my triple stitches are a totally different color. Okay, now that I have these separated and they're actually got two different colors, I want to actually change the pattern fill in here. So I'm going to make sure that pattern fill is selected over here. I'm going to do a right mouse button. I'm going to go down to Global Properties. And Global Properties allows me to change anything that is in my film strip that is a pattern fill. So if I had 5 or 6 different things that were pattern fills, it would change whatever matched this would also be changed throughout the entire film strip. So just be aware of that. I'm going to do this little drop down arrow and I'm going to go down to standard 3 and I'm going to pick on this guy here. It happens to be pattern number 28. And you notice the way that this is going. I want it to actually go straight across back and forth, and I'm going to change that to 25 and I'm going to do OK. So you notice that now that has now changed to looking totally and completely different. Okay, so let's create our other knobs. So what we want to do is we're going to make sure that we're on step number 3, which is a pattern fill, and we're going to be in the Quick Create tab, and I've got pattern fill is still selected, triple stitch should still be selected, and we're going to pick on quick stitch. We're going to pick on the 3 different knobs 1, and as we click on them, you're going to get the color tolerance. We're going to do OK. We're going to click on this one, do OK. Click on this one, do OK. click on this one, and we're going to do okay. Now, because of the way we're doing this, you're going to have jump stitches from here to here, and you're just going to have to cut them or turn on your cutter on your machine. But for this particular thing, it wouldn't have made any difference. Trying to get a line all the way over here, stitches would have been tough. So, okay, so we're going to make some changes to these pattern fills. So what I want to do is I'm going to make some changes. So the first thing I'm going to make a change to, I need to first right mouse click to deselect the tool. Make sure that that isn't selected because I don't want that to insert another set of designs. So I'm going to pick on this larger circle and I'm going to do a right mouse button because we're going to change the pattern fill. And this time I want it pattern fill number 114, which is a heart, which is kind of cool looking. I'm going to do okay. And I now have this this heart. But you notice it's kind of off-centered. And I'm going to zoom in so we can actually see this. And I want to move it around. So I just zoomed in, then I have to right mouse click to get rid of the zoom. So I'm going to actually take that O and move it around. You're going to get a part of the heart. There's nothing I can do about that, except unless we changed the size of our circle. And I wanted to make sure we get 100% of a heart. We've moved that around. Now we want to do the needle clamp. So I'm just going to move over here to the needle clamp. And I'm going to pick on the needle clamp. And this time I'm going to do a right mouse button. And I'm going to change this one to pattern 14. And I just have to type in 14 because I know what patterns I wanted. And I've actually played with these a little bit and changed them. And I'm going to change that to a 90, which is going to make it go left and right. So now it's down here. And if I wanted to, I can change that, but I kind of like the fact that if it's right there in the center, it's about what I want. Selecting the last item in our strip, we're going to make another change. We're going to go, we're going to change that pattern fill to a radial fill. And then I want to go and I'm going to pick on quick stitch. And I'm going to pick on the circle that's over here on the right-hand side, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to do okay. And you can see I kind of want to thin that out a little bit. So with that one there, I'm going to do a right mouse button to deselect the quick stitch and a right mouse button again, and I can change that density to 10. Okay? So it kind of spread it out a little bit. Remember, the higher the number, the further apart the stitches. And then I'm going to hit the top area where it says radial fill, so that's no longer selected. I'm going to change the triple stitch to being a satin line. I'm going to make sure I have applique selected. I'm going to do quick stitch, and I need to get down here so I can pick on the left area of the base. So I'm going to click on the left area of the base. I'm going to do okay. And then I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to do okay. I'm going to click on this and do okay. If you notice, mine also show this green. It's going to be whatever the last applique fabric is that you used. So we're going to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to pick on satin line. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually change. We just finished this one. So what we're going to do is we want to make sure nothing is selected. We don't have quick stitch still selected. We want to make sure right mouse button so that it deselects that tool. And we are going to now do make some changes. We're going to pick on the very first satin line applique. I'm going to do a right mouse. I'm going to do global properties. It will only pick on the satin line appliques because I want to change my fabric to something totally different. I'm going to click on global properties. Width can be 3.0. For the density, it's fine. We're going to do applique. We're going to do select fabric. And I'm going to go in and pick in the quick colors. And I'm just going to pick on one of the grays. And I'm going to do OK. And OK. And now my fabric is now a gray fabric. So it's kind of boring, but that's what we wanted the design this to be. Okay, so now that we've got this all changed to the gray, I want to actually separate these into separate pieces so that I actually have the running stitch that's going to tell me where to lay my fabric, and then I have the tack down stitch to tack down the fabric. So we've done this in previous classes that if you've been there before. So I've got one selected, I've got select the other one. I don't need to break apart the head of the machine because that's going to be as it is. It's not going to make any changes. So I've got those two selected. I'm going to go to the Edit tab. I'm going to select Break Apart. And once it's broken apart, you'll see that there's all kinds of pieces in here. I need to start moving some things around. I want the two running stitches to stitch at the same time. So I'm going to pick on the second running stitch. It's approximately number 18. It's going to depend on your software, on your particular one. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to slide it up there. You can use the arrow keys if that's much easier for you to do it. I'm going to find the second applique piece and again move it up to the other applique piece. I'm going to now take and I'm going to find the second satin line and I'm going to move it up. So here's the second satin line. Oops, I need to get the double stitch first. I'm going to move the double stitch up. I'm going to take, there's my first satin line, here's my second satin line, and I'm going to take and move it up. I no longer need these two stops, so I'm actually going to delete them. They're both gone. Now I need to make some changes to these satin lines because these satin lines, I want the fabric to lay on top, and I don't need that extra bulk. So I'm going to pick on the first one, and I'm going to zoom in so we can actually see what we're doing. Right mouse to deselect it. I'm going to go to the Home tab. We're going to pick on Delete Points, and we're going to start deleting. If you don't see the S moving, click one more over, and then the S will start to move. I need it to come all the way down to down here. So with that done, I'm going to do a right mouse button to deselect the tool, right mouse button again, and I'm going to make some changes to the ends. So I need to actually get this so that it's looking, and so remember this is the S, so this is the start point, and I'm going to change this and I'm going to hit apply. And that's kind of the way I want that one to be. Maybe I want to change this one, and maybe we can look at what this looks like and we can hit apply. Maybe maybe I'm going to go with this, hit apply. So again, it's just a matter of playing until you get what you kind of want, and you can change the angle a little bit. And I'm going to go back to this. Actually, I'm going to go back so it's a straight edge, and I'm going to just take and move that into place. Oop, I got to hit OK first. Sorry about that. And there's going to be a satin stitch that comes around here when we do the fabric. This one I want to move closer in here. Now I want to do this one over here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start deleting points. Now, you now have two sets of satin stitches. You have the base head satin stitches, and you have the head and the base satin stitches here. And so we need to get rid of not only these satin stitches, but also these. But you can't get rid of these without also getting rid of this. So we're going to make sure we're on the Home tab. We're going to hit the delete, and we're going to start deleting points. And we want to get rid of all these. So it ends there. Now I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to do a right mouse button to deselect the tool. And this one doesn't look too bad, but maybe I want to change the way that looks. I'm going to do a right mouse, and I'm going to actually, again, this is the ending point. So I may want to see what that's going to look like. Oh, wrong way. I want to do this one. I always have to mess with these a little bit. That looks pretty good. The S is pretty much up underneath here, but if you wanted to mess with that a little bit, you could do that. It's not really going to show because it's going to be behind this set of satin stitches. But now I've lost some satin stitches that are along here. To fix that, I'm going to close this, hit OK. I've got satin line selected. It's going to end stitching here with my satin line. So to fix this, I'm going to go to Point Create. I actually want just a running stitch. Running stitch. Start here. Keep going. And this is all going to get hidden again by that other fabric, so it's not that big a deal. Right mouse button. Now I want the satin stitch again. And I'm going to hold my control key or my shift key. So I start here and end here, and right mouse button. And again, right mouse button again, right mouse button again, so I can change the properties. So my starting point, I actually want to come down, and I have to kind of imagine what that's going to look like, and I'm going to do that. And this one, I actually kind of want to, let's see what that looks like. This one's correct, so I'm going to, I need to change that. I need to change this one to being this way. It's going to be in here. This one's going to be in here, and I don't like the way that's looking, so I'm going to actually take and drag that in just a little bit. Okay, so we now have that part of it done. I'm going to zoom out so we can see what this looks like. We need to do our fabric part of it. Let's pause this and make sure I'm it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick on color change, and you can change this to whatever you want. I'm going to just pick on a purple or a blue, just something so that it's totally different. And I'm going to go to the Quick Create tab. I want satin line chosen, but this time I want the satin stitches to actually have, I want there to be a fill over the top. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go into curved crosshatch fill. I'm going to make it an applique, but I can make some changes to this first. I'm going to go to the fill area and line. I'm going to make sure the gap is still set to 6, and these are set at 50. And we're going to leave it at a diamond, kind of gives it a little bit of a kind of a curve to it. And we're going to do line and make sure that's set to 3.0. That's fine. But I forgot we need to make one more change. I'm going to do cancel out of here. We didn't make any changes anyway. That satin line, I want it to change to a double zigzag. We're going to go back to fill area and line. We're going to this time go to line, and I want my zigzag set to a 2. So it makes it just a little bit wider and is going to help cover the outside edges. We're going to go to quick stitch. We're going to pick on that area here. We're going to do okay. It's still going to find our green fabric that maybe we don't want that. We can change that, but it's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. But I need to get my knobs so that they're in the front again, right? So at the very, very end, we've got curved crosshatch fill applique. And I want to change the color. So I'm going to pick on color change, and I'm going to pick on a light gray. Okay? And then we're going to go to the beginning of the film strip. And the ones I want to choose are just the knobs. So we're going to pick on 4, 5, and 6. We don't want to move this one. We want 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to click on pattern fill, pattern fill, and pattern fill. I do not want these two, and I don't want this one. And I want these to actually move all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to move to front, and it's going to move those. So I now have that one, and that one. All right. So now, if you notice, the radial fill's not there. It's one of the ones that we did in black, right? So what we need to do is with this last one selected, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a color change again, and I'm going to go to the black, do okay. I need to go find that radial fill that's up here, and I'm going to do, I'm going to move it to the front, and now it's there. And now I have my sewing machine. That's basically what it is. So I can go in and make some changes here. I can do some different things, but we're going to keep on moving here. I am going to I want to save this as an actual EDO file. So remember to go in and do your save as, save your EDO file, and I'm going to do cancel for right now. And then I'm going to close this, and there's my sewing machine. Now, if I want to add some things to this, I can do that. So I can go actually to the frame tab and add some embellishments. But, oh, I have no thread and I have no needle. Cool way to do this. I'm going to go back, and I want to edit this. And I can actually edit this in digitizing. So with this selected, I'm going to do a right mouse, and I'm going to do edit in digitizing. And at the very, very end, I'm going to actually put in some things. I'm going to go in and I'm on the home tab. I'm going to do insert super designs, and I'm going to actually look for the home category. It starts with a button, but I want to do the thread, and I'm going to do insert. I want to make some changes to this, and I do not need from this color down. So I'm going to actually hold my shift key. I've got the last blue color selected, and I'm going to hold my shift key and select all those and delete that. I don't want that. I just need the spool of thread. So and it actually created it as a group. I can move it up here, but I'm going to make some changes to it because I don't want that particular size. I'm going to pick on modify, And proportional is selected. I don't want that selected. I want to change this to, I'm going to change the width to 125 and the height to 75 and do OK. And that just changed the way that particular one looks. Making sure my last item is selected, I am going to go to freehand create, and I'm going to unselect pattern fill, and I'm going to change this to a triple stitch. Create area or line, and from this, where this little purple thing is, I'm going to just add some circles and circles and come around my tension and down and down and into my fabric and out. All done. I now have some thread coming off my spool, and it's going to match that blue, which is a good thing. We still have a needle we need to add, so we've got this category still here. We're going to do insert, we're going to do the needle, and we're going to do insert, and we're going to move it, and we're going to have to rotate it a little bit. I don't want that thread that's there. So I'm going to, starting with the blue, I'm going to come down here, I'm going to get rid of it. And now I need that particular group to actually stitch first, because I need it to stitch behind the actual machine. So I've got the group selected. I'm going to move to front, or move to back, I'm sorry. It's going to move it all the way to the back of the machine. So now I have thread, and I have this, and I have that. So I'm going to actually close out of here. I could actually, don't forget, you want to do your save as, if you want to save it as an EDO. I've got that done. Oh, that's looking pretty cool. Okay, now I want to add some additional embellishments. And these are really up to you, but what I did is I came in here to the flourishes, and I just chose one of the flourishes, and you can choose anything you want, because again, you can choose and make it look any way you want to. I'm going to pick on this one. Make sure nothing is selected, because otherwise it's going to pop it to the bottom, and I'm going to do apply. And now, because it is really big and I need it to be smaller, but I might want to be this way, and I could add it here. So don't forget now to go in and do your save as. When you do your save as, it will save this as a VP4, which allows me then to go to digitizing, do all that thing if I pull it up at a later time. Your stitch out is your export, and that's going to be your VP3 and for, or whatever format you need for your machine.